Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 217 of a year of change. And the end of what has been a hell of a long haul, really. We've done 12 straight weeks of pretty much the same thing. Some of it's been very dry, some of it has been sort of tough to try to figure out, but we've done a long stretch of, sort of hardcore tracking and changing our diets and really tweaking the numbers. And although 12 weeks is quite a long way, or quite a long time, but it has shown me that the tweaking of the food and everything else is a lot harder than I originally thought it was going to be. Not necessarily on a willpower level, but just on a tracking and practical level. So I decided to go this week and just sort of go back, take a look and see where my levels were, because it's one of those that I've tried, but I haven't tried really as hard as I should be. But I wanted to sort of take a look at the sodium levels and the sugar levels and the fat levels and everything else. And I know I always go, I'm not going to preach to you about, let's take this into perspective, but let's take this into perspective and just sort of take a look at where I was. So for starters, we're going to go with the sodium. The sodium aspect of it did not do very well, mainly because of hot dogs. Because I had bought a pack of hot dogs, and of course, every day for lunch, I would have a couple of hot dogs. So the sodium in those is much higher than I thought it was. Because I thought when I was putting in things like mustard and Frank's and everything else on it, because I got rid of the cheese aspect of it and took away the mayonnaise and anything that I figured was going to be sort of really high, dense, high-calorie stuff. But I knew there was going to be some extra sodium in there. The amount of sodium that's in the mustard, which I thought was actually quite high, is nothing compared to the hot dog. So that completely screwed my numbers there. Not an excuse, just telling you as it is. So when I go and I take a look at my numbers, did not go below the 2,300 like we're supposed to, on average. I had 2 days when it was insanely high, and then I had 2 or 3 days where I was really low, one of which was under 1,000 milligrams, which is good. But overall, on the average, didn't meet that 2,300 over 7 days. So it's a little difficult that way. The week before I was somewhat better, but again, one of those things that we're going to keep trying. I keep saying one of those things again. I know. So I decided to look at my sugar as well. The sugar I did try. By the way, I meant to bring that up. I did try a sweetener in my coffee throughout this week. I've still just been tracking it as 3 cream, 1 sugar because it's easier in my FitnessPal. Instead of going in and creating a whole new thing and taking off 15 calories, because it doesn't really matter. But I did try it I started on Wednesday and went right through for those 3 days. And I didn't have any adverse reaction to it like I was expecting. So I had mentioned on Wednesday as well that sort of allergic, not so good gutsy feeling that I used to get, I'm assuming is sort of I've made that connection where there may not be one. Granted, I only really had it in my coffee as opposed to in everything. So, but in general, I think it's probably safe to say that the adverse reaction I was having to it because of an allergy to like aspartame or sodium cyclamate or any of the artificial sweeteners, an allergic reaction to it or any adverse reaction is so rare that chances are it was a link. It was something that I had, put in my head and went good enough. That's obviously the bad thing. But there is, of course, the flavor aspect of it. And that was a big part of trying to get over it. And it was not that as soon as you tasted it didn't have that astringent medicine taste to it that I normally expect from it. But you can tell you're not having sugar. It's still doable. And it's something that I think it's probably better. I would probably enjoy it more if I just didn't have sugar in my coffee rather than replacing the one sugar I have with an artificial sweetener. So I'm going to try it that way because it was enough that by the time you're done the coffee, there is that sort of, there was something in there that wasn't quite right flavor. So I think I might just do that instead, make things a little easier that way. I could probably start buying products, though, that do have artificial sweeteners in them. Because I don't think that there is going to be that, I was going to say stomach issue. It's not, explodey poop issue. There isn't going to be an issue with that, I don't think, so probably okay that way. But I took a look at my sugars, and sugar is still high. And I really couldn't. I thought, okay, well, the hot dogs, that's not going to do that. They not a lot of sugar in them. So went through everything that I had eaten throughout the week, and that's when I started sort of doing this and trying to look at it and say, okay, the sugar content this week was really, really high. However, every scrap of it that it's in MyFitnessPal, every bit of sugar, aside from the sugar in my coffee, every scrap of the sugar from this week has been from fruit. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it being a little bit high because it's all come from bananas and kiwis and a huge chunk of apples. I ate a lot of apples this week because I was able to buy some. So that's where all of my sugar came from. So I'm okay with that. It's higher than it should be. I know we're supposed to try to get down. I've never gotten down to that 10%. It's around 700 grams for the week, which is higher than I should be having for sugar anyway. But as far as added sugar, it's just what was in my coffee. So let's say we'll average out 3 coffees a day. So 3 sugars, so 4 grams, so 3 teaspoons a day. Which is still not great in added sugar. I could cut that out entirely and it would be fine, but it's much better than the 20 that I was having. So there is a little bit of improvement there. Anyway, I wanted to sort of bring that up. Then I looked at the fat. I know we've been trying to keep the fat at around 30% of our diet, which I've been trying to get that back down to where it is, and this week it was much higher. It was 38%. So I went again and looked through everything, and aside from the hot dogs, which is not healthy fat, obviously, all the fat that I did have came from 2 sources. Olive oil and sunflower seeds. So again, one of those, all right, it's more fat than I should have had in percentage-wise, like for my calories. I did have much more fat than I should have, but it's from sunflower seeds, which aside from the sodium in those, which is added to it as well, aside from the sodium in there, it's still very good. Some of it came from olives as well, which added to the sodium. So there's sodium in everything. So my sources are good sources. I'm not eating junk food. I'm not eating, buckets of chips and chocolate and everything else. I mean, obviously it's not a way for me to go, good enough, I can eat whatever I want as long as it's from good sources, because you can't. The sunflower seeds are still extremely high in calories. So, I mean, it doesn't take much. It's something like 300 or 400 calories for half a cup, which is just a little bit. So, I still have to watch that. That's still going to be a part of it. I'm still doing my treadmill, so that's helping as well. But getting those numbers to where they need to be, I'm going to need to continue working on that. Because it's not something that I can say, oh, well, obviously I'm not going to be able to do it, and then give up. Because we've done that too many times with everything else, and once I start doing it with one thing, it's going to be easy for me to say, well, screw it, I'm just going to give up with the treadmill, and then I'm going to give up with the calorie counting, and then I'm going to lose my streak, and then I'm just going to say, screw it, I'm not going to do anything. But I did want to share that with you just to sort of, this is what we've been doing for 12 long weeks, and we've been adding new things in, so keeping track of the sodium and the sugar and the fat and everything else, in a way, you're sort of going, okay, we're sort of done with that, but we still need to keep track of it. It's not going to be all of just saying, oh, great, we've done all the bad stuff, so that's all over with. We still need to watch that. We still need to be aware of it, so that when we do see those numbers creeping up, we can go back and say, okay, well, you know what? My sugar this week came from, junk food, from sour jujubes, for example, which I haven't bought, so don't worry. But looking at a source like that compared to getting it all from fruit, it's still sugar. It's still obviously a little too much, and I still need to curb that. But it's much better coming from that than it would be from, coming from where it came from 2 weeks ago, or a week ago? Somewhat. Anyway, for just coming from fizzy drinks and mixing it with alcohol and stuff like that. So, because there is a lot of sugar in that as well. So it's from a much better source, but still need to sort of curb that. But again, when you're looking at it and saying, well, I think on one day I had 4 or 5 apples throughout the course of a day. But overall, my calories, I still had 600 or 700 calories left for the day. So it's sort of measuring that, going, yes, you had a lot of sugar, but it was mixed in with a lot of fiber, and you're getting it from fruit, and so it's not as cut and dry as we originally thought, just looking at it and saying, well, you can't eat fat, you can't eat sugar. Sodium, well, added sugar, we know that. The sodium kind of is cut and dry. That is something I still need to work on. I've cut back a tremendous amount. on just the extra sodium that I put on my food, like extra salt. Which I forgot to show you I will do that tomorrow. I'll show you my salt shaker and show you where it is. I still haven't bought salt since we started tracking it. I filled it up and I still haven't touched it. So, which is just like a golden anniversary for me. Normally, I fill it every couple of months, and it's very rare that I actually use it. I did use it yesterday because I thought I'm going to make something healthy. So I made chicken and rice and a whole ton of vegetables. So you're adding in all the stuff, and of course you need some. But I did 10 turns, which is a third of a teaspoon. So I'm very happy with that. But again, over the past 12 weeks, we've been doing so much stuff, and some of it has been really dry and sort of hammering point that home of we need to watch what we eat, and we can't do this and can't do that. We still haven't cut anything out, but where we are watching what we're doing, it has eliminated a few things, like obviously not going and eating as much junk food, not eating as much salt, curbing the types of fat that we've had. And it's something that when we look back over the past 12 weeks, I'm not going to go back 6 months again, don't worry. When we look over the past 12 weeks, even in that short amount of time, we've learned a lot about how much extra sugar is in all the different foods that we buy. So we sort of curbed the processed food aspect of it and brought in more whole foods that we can prepare ourselves. We've looked at the types of fat that are there and adjusted accordingly that way, whether you're cooking with olive oil now or you've decided, okay, well, I'm going to, just cut back on the amount. We've still made changes. And with sodium, I still need to work on that. But, being able to say that you've cut back on the amount that you're using, we still have made tremendous progress. Maybe not necessarily in our weight, because I feel like I've sort of slowed down a bit there. But overall, we're eating healthier, even in the past 12 weeks. And a lot of that is just that knowledge that we've learned. And we're going to continue on with that. We're going to be doing, coming up, the better stuff, carbs, fiber, and protein. I don't think we're going to do 4 weeks for each one. That one did go a little long, but I'm glad that we sort of did that because it's, having that amount of time to really take a good long look at things and tweak things as we need them, and it's going to take time to get adjusted to it. And for a lot of us, myself included, I still have to keep adjusting. I still need to work on that. It's nothing that I'm just going to say, good enough, 12 weeks, and I'm where I need to be. Obviously not. My sodium is still too high, my sugars are still too high, and my fat, the percentage is still too high. But, again, we've cut way back. We've adjusted the types of sugar that we're eating. We're getting it from better sources. We've adjusted the types of fat that we're eating. We're getting those from better sources. And we're getting it from healthier sources that are actually going to help us in the long run. So while it's been tough, the amount of information that we've learned has helped us a great deal. We'll be able to carry that on with us and keep going. And chances are you're at a stage right now where you realize that there are certain products that you haven't bought in the past few weeks that were just normally a staple food for you. Sunflower seeds, that's something that a while ago, I would have bought just for something for a snack, but I would have gone through the entire bag and would have added in a whole ton of stuff to it. But I would be much more apt to go get, some sort of candy or chips or something like that. So even a small change like that, I'm getting fiber, I'm getting, healthy fats out of it. So it's a good change. I just still need to watch the calories that are in there. But as long as we keep tracking, I think that we're going to be okay. So there's good and there's bad to the past 12 weeks. It has sort of been a little dry when you're doing the same subject for 4 weeks at a time. So in the new week, or in the new section that we're going to be doing, where we sort of concentrate on the new stuff, I don't think I'm going to keep it going for 4 weeks. It is a little long. And after a while, you just sort of tune out and you go, we know this information. I'm working on it. Stop harping on things. We'll go from there. But we still have carbs and fiber and protein to go through. And though, fat is sort of one of those, is it good, is it bad sort of thing. But I'm glad that we sort of got the bad stuff out of the way. And then we have the good stuff that we can look forward to. And don't worry, it's not going to be something where we say, well, now you need to measure out exactly this amount of protein every single day. Because if you don't get it, then you're shit. And you have to add 2,000 cups of bran so that you can poop every single day. It's going to be like we did last time, just little tiny practical changes. And more importantly, really just being aware of the information that's out there. taking a look at the nutrition labels on things and making different choices that way, no matter how small, they have improved what we've been eating. They've improved our health, and overall they've improved everything that we've been doing, and hopefully keep us going on this path. And I mean, we still have another few months to go. We aren't done yet. So we're past the halfway point, but we still have another 100 less than 150 days. Ooh, that feels weird. I'm going to say it that way. So yeah, we have less than 150 days to go. I mean, obviously we need to keep on going after that, but just to get to a point where we can say, okay, I think we have all the information we need. We've gotten to a good point. We've made significant progress, and we can keep on going. So it's been a long chunk of time, but it's been helpful, I think. So we'll sort of change gears a little bit and go towards the good stuff in the next few weeks, and see if we can go from there and start adding more stuff in there. So now we know what we need to avoid and what we can go for. It'll be good. It'll be fine. You'll be okay. Trust me. But for now, I'm going to leave this video here. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. And in the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.